Welcome everyone to Scope Shift. Today, I'm joined by Serena Mastin, an EOS Strategic Advisor, founder of Pulse Marketing, author of Exposed, You Can't Heal When You Hide, and a leader who has built multiple businesses rooted in authenticity, resilience, and heart. Serena, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I am honored to be here.
We are honored to have you. You have an amazing story. I can't wait to dive into it and learn about you. So, there are a lot of different directions we could go here. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur coach, you're an author. I'm guessing here, but I think it might be the thing that started this whole journey for you, which is Pulse Marketing. You founded it way back in 2013. We have a theme on shifts, and I know we're going to dive into some of them. What's been the biggest shift at Pulse since you started it?
So, my story is a rough one. So, I'm going to be fully vulnerable with you and your listeners. Just a pre warning, hold on to your seats. When I started the agency in 2013, a few months after my husband came home early and he said, I quit my job. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
It was not a resourceful way to start a business when it's now a zero income household with three kids. So he said, if I'm going to sell something, I'm going to sell something I believe in. We started from there. I am good at being the integrator behind the scenes, creating the core culture, getting things done. He became the VP of sales and we grew really fast. We hit over 1 million in the first few years. We built out this beautiful, office with the old, concrete floors where you could do the skateboarding and super, super fun. And we had about 15 to 17 employees. It was great for several years. The challenge is that even though we looked like the power couple on the outside to the world around us, on the inside, we were struggling in a tumultuous marriage. He was struggling with mental health issues, addiction, and infidelities. Felt the need to protect my team, to protect my kids, to protect everyone. So I hid all of those things. And when I recognized that it started breaking me down physically and mentally, I had to find the courage to leave the marriage. Now, when you're an entrepreneur and your husband works in the company, it's not as easy to contact HR. I had to do it head on. When I found the courage to leave my husband in 2019, he took his own life in March 2020. At the rise of our agency was also the fall. In 2020, COVID hit. That was also a time where we had a break in our office. They stole over $40,000 worth of equipment. And so when I describe like being in a place where I felt like my world was crumbling in every aspect of my life, in my memoir, I talk about my story. And that was my healing process to learn how to live with this new reality, how to help my children heal and my employees heal. It impacts every aspect. At that point in the business, once the aftermath started to unfold, my husband had canceled his insurance policies, so we were 200,000 in debt on a personal level, just with medical bills and all of the things that come with that scenario. As we dug deeper into the business, we were over 400,000 in debt with the business. And it was heart-wrenching. When you feel like you're going to lose everything, you're willing to do anything to rise above it. If it wasn't for my team, the culture that I had built, if it wasn't for the mentors in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. And one of my mentors helped me implement EOS within the organization, which is why I'm now a strategic partner, is because I learned firsthand how it, really created a whole new perspective from a business owner looking into the business
Sure.
and created a level of accountability with my team. If it wasn't for my team rising up and holding the business together while I was still broken on the floor trying to pick up the pieces, I wouldn't be here. And so that's part of my story and ties into the three titles you mentioned.
You've been through a lot, and there must have been times you were terrified. Starting the business, your husband comes home and he's like, "I quit my job." You mentioned when your back's against the wall, you just have to do whatever you have to do. That might have been the first time you were in that position. How did it feel? How did you get through that?
It felt terrifying. In the corporate world, you have a steady paycheck to go from stability to complete chaos and the unknown is a scary, but in those moments, we truly recognize our strengths.
Mhm.
As terrified as I was, once I started building the team, the culture, connecting with clients and making a difference in their businesses, that became my passion. That passion was much more powerful than my fear.
You hear all the time, go find your passion, but I think I'm a big believer in, because I feel like that can paralyze you, right? You're like, I'm not really passionate about anything. I think go find what you're good at. You found out like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. I can really help my clients. And it becomes a passion and it's this virtuous circle. So congratulations. It sounds like you've
Thank
really done a lot with
you.
it.
Thank you.
Pulse has a culture of heartfelt marketing, authentic storytelling. Is that something that was there from day one, or did that kind of evolve over time?
So, we definitely had a culture from day one, but it was more of this fun and chaos culture. I brought my employees in to determine their core values and how they align with the company. That's how we created our core values. One of them is we serve others first. We pour our hearts into everything we do. That was defined by my team. I didn't come in and create a bunch of core values that we stuck on the wall and told everyone to memorize. We actually hire and we fire based on the core values we have. So if you're not in alignment with one of our core values, then we'll identify why or get to the root cause. And if it's still not a fit, then that would be a reason that, we encourage others to move on
Yeah.
because it really does matter to us that we invest in others, we empower others for greatness, and that includes peer to peer and, our team to our clients.
That's awesome. Starting with the employees, making it really an employee-centric culture is gonna give it a whole lot more power. Is that something where you do you look for that in your clients when prospecting or making a pitch?
I do. It's a hard line where you can choose your clients, because cash flow does make a huge impact on keeping your team together. In the beginning, when we were probably 2 to 3 years in, we had $100,000 contract on the line. And this potential client or this client was a Ford dealership, one of the local dealerships. Within days of bringing this client on board, I had employees crying, a whirlwind of craziness happening because the client had, a very aggressive tone and a style didn't align with our core values. We were not in a financial position to let go of that client, but I made that call knowing my team was so much more important than this $100,000 contract. And so I fired, that was my first time ever firing a client that didn't align with our values.
Wow, that had to be really hard. That's a big contract.
Yes, it was heart wrenching.
That is tough. What red flags do you look for when you're talking to a client before they become a client?
Yes, that's a great question. We look for specifically, like, do they see our value? Is there a relationship that we can build trust? Because we're constantly growing and recommending different services to strategize what's best for them. If there's a breakdown in trust, that's a huge red flag. If there's a breakdown in communication where there's a lack of communication or a lack of transparency, they're not the right fit for us. And so those are some red flags we notice, pretty early on.
Yeah. You mentioned you offer a broad range of services for your clients. How do you determine which services align best with their needs and your internal capabilities?
In our discovery process, we do a deep dive. They may say, I need SEO or a new website. It's our goal to identify the root issue, not maybe the pain point that they're feeling is not, the root issue. And so we do the research in advance to identify what are their competitors doing? What is the real core issue that they're trying to solve? We present these recommendations. We're a fractional marketing agency. When I worked in corporate, I was a VP of marketing. I had 10 different agencies, a digital agency, a creative
Right.
agency, like an SEO. None of them spoke to each other. All the reporting was different. My goal in kind of creating this model of being a fractional agency is really to give them the benefit of CMO oversight
Mm.
and an entire in-house team. We don't outsource anything. We act as an extension of them. We do a lot of research. One of our core values is data drives decisions, not opinions.
Nice.
Everything we do is research based before we recommend or execute on any campaign.
I like that data drives decisions, not opinions. A lot of folks say they are data driven, but then when you present data that is opposite of their opinion, they'll find a reason to be like, no, that data is no good.
Yeah.
It's interesting to watch. It's the human nature. So you're a few years into Pulse Marketing when you decide to write your memoir, Exposed. What
Yes.
drove that decision and what was that process like?
That process was excruciating.
Oh boy. I'm sorry if I touched on a nerve there.
No, not at all. I spent a lot of years hiding the things happening in my marriage to protect the business, to protect the kids. I hid behind this mask of I'm strong and I have it all together. When everything came crumbling down, I knew I needed to step out of my own darkness and be fully vulnerable. That's what drove me to write my memoir. I started writing it after my husband's death. It's very detailed, it's very raw, it's a hard read. It starts from childhood. I grew up in witness protection. I was in
Wow.
9 foster homes. I lived on the streets when I was just 15 years old. I struggled with addiction. I struggled with, anything that you could imagine when you face a life that was built on, a shaky foundation. Then I started building, my career in the corporate world. I was climbing that corporate ladder, kicking and screaming,
Hmm.
until I got to that VP role and then branched off and started the agency. I talk about each stage of my life, but the reason it was hard is I was never a writer. And what
Hmm.
I didn't realize is you have to write from a place that you were in that moment. So you can't write from wisdom. You have to bring yourself into that moment when describing it. I was reliving some of the trauma I had experienced. It wasn't until I closed that last chapter that I felt weightless.
Oh.
Even though it was excruciating, it was the
Mhm.
most beautiful healing process I'd ever done.
You have to go back to those moments, which was incredibly difficult, but it
Yes.
actually gave you that ability to let go, which is pretty beautiful. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So that level of vulnerability and authenticity, telling your truth, you don't see that a lot because it's really hard to do. You had to have some fears. What if my clients read this and don't trust me anymore? How did you get over those fears?
You are so right. I really did struggle. I felt like I was going to lose my business. I felt like I was going to lose clients. Like there's a lot of intimate details I share in my story. I knew that my pattern was to hide. So, one of the first memories as a little girl, my mom found me hiding in the closet because of abuse happening when she wasn't there. And so I recognized that I kept hiding, whether it was protecting others or hiding literally. I knew to overcome this cycle, I had to push through it. My first intention was to hide that book under my bed.
Yeah.
And I self published it because I had to do it alone and I had to face it head on. In doing so, it helped me overcome the fear of judgment, the fear of loss, the fear of all of the things that comes with sharing your story. I've actually gained more beautiful connections and relationships since I've been able to step past my fear and
Mhm.
through it. and just face it head on.
That's awesome. I mean, they say success exists outside your comfort zone. So you definitely went outside your comfort zone on that one. That's amazing. So I want to bring it back a little bit to business, and I want to ask you about we've touched on it a couple times, but never really explained EOS, the Entrepreneur's Operating System. Tell us about what that is, how you brought that into your business, and why you became an advisor.
Most people wait till their company is a certain size and they want to implement an operating system to help them scale bigger. I brought it into the company when I was about to lose everything. I wanted to rebuild on a strong foundation. And so I took a huge risk because it wasn't a inexpensive operating
Yeah,
system to
no,
bring in, but it's a whole process of like understanding how your core values impact people, where people fit, and how company goals are understood throughout. We used the process to create a leadership team, which we didn't have at the time. So that leads like a whole different level of accountability. But then all of our company goals are now in a way that our entire team knows them, stands behind them, and they create their own KPIs and milestones every quarter that lead to reaching the company goals. We have our 1 year, 3 year, and 10 year goals, and everyone in the company is completely aligned of how we're going to get there and how what their role. It's the best thing I've done for my agency. Now I'm a huge advocate and a strategic partner. I work with an implementer and attend sessions to guide new companies because it is a big shift. It outlines your accountability chart, company goals, and vision.
as an agency owner, we've explored it. EOS is based off of Traction, right? The book Traction, which my business partner is my wife. We've both read and gone through the exercises. We haven't brought in an advisor yet, but it's phenomenal stuff. It might sound a little woo-woo, but it is core
It is
fundamental business
all
stuff. Yeah.
tactical. We have a scorecard we look at every week, a 90-minute meeting with our leadership team and a 30-minute meeting with our entire team every week. It eliminates some of the one-off meetings throughout the week.
Right.
It saves a lot of time. It gets everyone clear on the goals and everyone is accountable, not only because they create their own KPIs, but because they can see visually what the financial goals are for the company, what the growth is, where we're headed. So they feel bought in to the bigger picture. So in moments like right now where a lot of agencies are struggling, it's scary, especially when you're feeling alone. But when you have your whole entire team looking at the same, you know, scorecard, vision, and mission, it's a powerful way to move the needle and start scaling the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that in addition to Pulse, you have other initiatives. You do some speaking. Tell me a little bit about what you have going on and how it integrates back into Pulse.
Yes, I'm passionate about topics we've covered in my personal life: foster agencies, domestic violence, suicide prevention and awareness. These are big topics people are scared to talk about. And so, in a lot of my speaking, I'm able to kind of connect the dots that you don't need to become a statistic based on how you were raised. You can become more and not allow obstacles to hold us back. And then I also tie it into toxic relationships in the workplace because it's a huge topic for mental health and how to empower your employees. And so those are some of the topics that I deliver.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like you're able to really balance speaking and the engagements with your leadership style at Pulse, which is amazing. For agency owners listening, it's clear you have built a successful agency, really value-based. It hasn't lost its soul, right? That does happen to some agencies. Do you have any tips for how they should go about doing this? Anything that you did that you were like, I wouldn't have made it here if I didn't do this thing?
Yes, my two big ones are: find your people, join a community group, a peer group, a founders club. You need to surround yourself with like-minded individuals that understand and support you. And then find an operating system that works within your agency. I am an advocate for EOS, but there are many out there. Without clear vision, you're going to keep going in circles. You're just going to keep creating the same patterns. And you're going to see that in your business and financials constantly. Until you shift that part of your business and create something that stabilizes the vision for everyone and everyone's on the same page, you're going to feel like you're on a hamster wheel. So I would say those are the two core pieces. And my last thing is you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
It's
You
another,
just
there's
don't.
another line I'm going to steal from you. That's a great one. I love that.
Yeah, a lot of people think I have to sacrifice everything in order to make this work. The truth in sacrificing everything is you're also sacrificing yourself. To grow your business, your culture, you have to heal yourself first.
That is amazing. I really appreciate it. I can't think of a better way to wrap things up. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story and expertise. It has been enlightening. I've had a great time. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I love these opportunities and I'm here if anyone needs to know
Where
a
can people
question.
find you? Let us know on social media or what websites. Where can people
Yes,
find you?
I'm so easy to find. You can find me at serenamastin.com. That's my personal website with my book. It goes directly to me, so you can reach out to me at any time. And then, our agency website is pulsemarketingteam.com.
Serena, thank you so
Perfect.
much. We should talk again soon.
Thank you.
1,